surviving this together, another Survivor podcast. This week we're discussing the 13th episode of Season 35, Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers. I'm your hero, Levi.
I'm a hustler. My name is Lauri.
And I'm a healer, and I'm Brandon. What? No! I don't like where this went. So this episode starts off with a pretty great quote from Mike. They come back from Tribal Council, and Mike goes, "Wow, I think that idol play might have even been better than mine."
I love at this point, I feel like Mike knows that he realistically isn't, like top 3 win. Like, he's pretty self-aware. He doesn't think, but Mike's probably just like, I've made it at this point.
I think Mike's really got things kind of planned out. I think he's really thinking, but I think he's flying under the radar, which means he's going to have a harder sell if he does make it to the final 3, because he's going to have to convince people he's making those moves, which are the moves that I believe he's making, where he's like telling people what's going on. Like when Ben came to him, he immediately went to Lauren, who immediately went to everybody else, which worked out in Ben's favor to get everybody all back and forth with each other and not having anything to do with him, because it looked like Ben was going to be out there for a while. So, but that's going to be a hard sell for him, I think.
Well, I think the thing is, with the OG, the old format for Final 3, Mike would have no chance, but I think he's well spoken and intelligent enough that going to the outwit, outlast, outplay thing, he has a really good chance of...
I was kind of thinking Mike had just been out of the game for a little bit too long. I mean, we saw like 3 or 4 episodes where he was not involved in the plan on who was going home. And I wonder if they look at that and say, you were out for so long, if he's going to be able to redeem himself with these last, 4 tribal councils.
I think he was out in the sense that he wasn't with the majority, but he was still scrapping along and doing stuff. Like, he aligned with Joe, who, they were enemies in the first part of the season. Like, he did what he needed to do.
Do you think there's a point that Mike can make where he can just say to the jury, hey, look, it's not like I wasn't playing this game. Other people's decisions factor heavily on what he's doing out there. And they kind of just crippled him for a couple of weeks. Is there a point where you can say, that wasn't my fault? Or is it his fault?
I think it's both. I think of all people, if, like I said before, I think he's well-spoken enough that he'll be able to, say, yes, I wasn't making the right choices, but I was doing this and I'm still here. Like, he wasn't just sitting on his hands. Like, people still want him out in this episode because he's a threat for some reason,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how it's shaken out, although I think Devin might have a harder time making his pitch. I think he's got more friends than maybe other people, but I think he's going to have a harder time saying he made the big move or made the great strategic gameplay.
It's jumping ahead, till Tribal Council, but I love when Ben was like, hey, Devin, what have you even done? And Devin's like, you're sitting over here. You should be happy to not be voted out. I'll happily tell you after we get your ass on the other side, sort of deal. Where he's like, when you're on jury, you can find out. And Ben's like, well, fine then. Mrr.
I love that little back and forth between those two.
It was great.
It was kind of like Ben trying to pry information out of Devin while making him nervous that he doesn't have a good enough resume for the final. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, that was good stuff. Ben's got the moves. I think Ben does win if he makes it. I mean, that's what they keep saying, but he's been making the big moves. He's been making the strategic moves. He's been pulling out the surprises. He's been keeping the secrets. I mean, of the remaining players, I think he deserves it the most. After that, who do you guys think is a second place after Ben? Let's say it was a final 5. Who do you think would be second?
I'd say it would depend. I think really at this point between Ryan and Devin comes out to who can sell themselves better. And Devin has a lot of friends on the jury, and he's not been a floater. And he seems pretty confident in himself. Whereas Ryan, if he doesn't get too tied up in trying to sound eloquent, I think he can do well also.
I don't think so. I don't see what Ryan has really done much of this season. Honestly, he was in that final 7 deal.
Fair.
But he didn't put it together, and then it fell apart, and he was on the outs, and he's kind of working his way back in with people right now, but he's not the one actually making these moves. Like, if you look at tonight, he had no influence on anything. So I would say Chrissy over him. If he's there with Chrissy, I say Chrissy beats him, unless people just really don't like her. It's kind of funny because I actually thought of Devin and Ashley's game as like almost exactly the same caliber, where they both started off with their other person in their little couple, and then they broke off into that final four with Lauren and Ben. So they both
Who
made
is Devin's couple?
Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so then they both broke off into that four, and so they've kind of been making the same moves together.
I think the difference is just that Devin's been a little bit more proactive. I mean, like, we had the whole, like, Ben being the double agent thing, like, that was Devin's idea. Or, like, trying to pull people in. I think Devin was more actively, like, they all have friends, but I think Devin's been taking more of the driver's seat on actively pursuing these friendships as, like, a game strategy versus, like, hey, people like me, this is cool. Like, he's been, at least in his confessionals, more aware as to what those relationships could mean, and like by being friends with Lauren, who else am I drawing in, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. I really like Devin, so
yeah, like I don't think Ashley is a bad player by any means. Like, as far, we talked about it, and I think the last episode, like as far as like the GOAT goes, like she's still a great player, you know.
Yeah,
no, the GOAT went
but
out
the
with
bar's
Joe.
the bar's just really high this season.
Yeah, it's crazy that they like didn't keep Joe. Like, he was like the only real GOAT.
I think it just goes back to like the Abby Marie thing, where there's a certain point you're already tired, you're already hungry, that is just so much emotional and mental energy being wasted on trying to not snap at the dude constantly, that like they just probably couldn't take it anymore, game aside, just like mentally they were done, you know?
I think whoever said it last episode, it might have been me, said it the best when it was just, they just needed to get rid of him because he was obviously the GOAT, and nobody wanted everybody else to bring him to the end over them.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of all of it. Let's see. So we got to I loved the random parrots. The pair-ups for this reward challenge were great. We had, who was it? It was Chrissy and Devin, who, like, obviously I looked at them and they're like, okay, they're winning. There's no way anybody else. Because then we had Ben and Ashley, and, like, neither of them are chumps, but, like, you know. And then we had Ryan and Mike, which was just the sweet boys.
they got a little bit pissy with each other. It was funny.
Well, like, at one point, like, they needed to get the rope over the thing, and I just want to be like, Mike, just throw him over it. He's 4 pounds. Just throw him.
I cheered a little bit when I saw those two paired up together on this challenge. I was like, yes, I cannot wait to watch this. This is going to be a fun challenge.
He was like, don't go over that. You're taking all this slack. He's like, you're fine. Just hop over. And he gets all caught in the ropes. They were like an old married couple.
Yeah, the saving grace for these two was like that they had to throw something at the end, and it was really a crapshoot of who could win. So
got a moment from, it was Devin and Chrissy won, and they got to pick one more person, and they step aside to chat, which you don't see that move. I thought that was cool. We've seen it before, I'm sure, but like, hey, can we take a second? And they pick Ryan, and Ashley's just like, I think this is kind of speaking to where I see Ashley as like the obvious non-winner, where she just like clearly like, okay. Like her face is just, even if Jeff hadn't pointed it out, it was pretty obvious.
It was cracking me up when Ben was like, ooh, Chrissy's hangry.
Yeah. Or Ashley was hangry, yeah.
Yeah, Ashley's hangry. Devin was like, oh yeah, Ryan's a good idea. Like, I don't know how Chrissy like talked him into that. Did they cut something out, or is he just like hungry, or did he really think that was a good idea? Like, clearly, like, not bringing Ashley was some...
I think aside from the little threesome that they ended up forming at this, like, with these challenges this late in the game, you're so starving and so tired that they can really give you that extra calorie boost. And I think of the Ashley, Mike, and Ben that were left, like, obviously they don't want to give Ben a boost. And then out of the other two, like, Ryan's not an obvious choice for a win, so maybe it's kind of keeping control of who's winning immunity in the next contest, the next challenge.
I like
so
contest.
Like just feed Ryan all the food. He's already gotten another, like, this is his second reward in a row. He's young, like, he's probably not going to win anyway, so it's not really going to give him that much of an advantage.
I just feel like there's more of the conversation that we missed out on, that because like in the edit that we got, it was kind of like, oh, we should take Ryan. Like, oh yeah, good idea, let's take Ryan.
I think Devin didn't want to tell Chrissy no, so when she said it, he was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I can
maybe that's
definitely
it.
see Chrissy saying, like, no, it's going to be Ryan. And Devin's like, I'd rather not. No, it's going to be Ryan. You know?
And I feel like he knows her well enough at this point that he's like, whatever, Chrissy decides she's the boss. I don't want to mess with her because she's very like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like we've seen several times where somebody will like do something that Chrissy finds distasteful and she'll just be like, well, that was unnecessary, and just hate that person for the next like hour or whatever.
That's true.
I could totally see that. He doesn't care who goes on that reward with him. At this point, he doesn't care at all. He's just like, I just want to go get the food, you pick.
But yeah, so Ryan went with Chrissy and Devin on the challenge, and they of course started strategizing because that's what you do in Survivor. You know, you're playing 24/7. But that left Ashley back at camp, and Ben was trying to reel her in. That didn't really work out, but there was definitely some gaming happening, you know, with the people that got left behind.
I mean, I think my favorite part was just how like almost manic Mike was about this, where he's like, he got to go on the last challenge. He's the youngest. He has all this energy. He doesn't need it. And just, he was so animated. It was adorable.
I honestly think Mike was just trying to stir the pot.
Yeah.
To see what could happen, you know, see where the numbers could land if he really tried to, you know, mess with Hangry Ashley and Ben at the beach. If you're Ashley, don't you have to humor Ben a little bit and say, yeah, what could we do together? Because you know they're working on Devin. So when Devin comes back, you could say, you know what, if we went with Ben, no, because you need to get Ben out.
At this point, I think, I mean, we saw he played an immunity idol. Short of having an immunity idol or winning immunity, Ben's the obvious choice to get out, like 100%. And I think he's just,
yeah.
And I think if anything, keeping him on the outs, even if it gives him something to fight against, which could propel him forward, I think a hope gives you a little bit more of a boost, maybe. So it's better for them just to kind of kick him while he's down at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Dealing with Ben at this point is problematic. I mean, who knew he was going to find that idol? And we never actually got to see him find the idol, probably because he was legit, like, just shoving his arm down underneath there and, like, found it. And, like, it's kind of probably hard to record that as a camera person without giving away what's happening.
Well, that and as the edit had it, they were like, everybody else was packing up. They're like, hey, do you think we have time to eat before we go? No, the sun's going down. Like, it was like, as everybody was leaving, they're like, Ben, get going. And like, that seems like it's when he grabbed it, is like on his way to tribal.
Yeah, I actually love how that happened, because we never get to see them right before they go to tribal.
Yeah, it was
felt
really
a lot
good.
more real. I liked it a lot.
Huh.
I don't like that they keep putting idols in. I'm getting sick of it. But I don't want to be a complainer.
I mean, I'm usually anti-idol, but it's par for the course that if one gets used, it gets put back in. And the final six, like, this is the last time we'll see one, so.
And anybody could have looked for it, but, you know, everybody's like, we got to make sure Ben doesn't win immunity, but nobody said, we got to make sure Ben doesn't get that hidden immunity idol. Like Ben said, Ben's like, how is nobody following me? Like, they know I'm going to look for it. Like, what are they doing? This is the only season where I haven't seen them follow the person who is clearly looking for the idol.
Yeah, I haven't been upset at Mike ever in my life. And by in my life, I mean the past couple of months that we've known him. But I was so mad when he was just like, yeah, he doesn't have time to find it. Like, Mike, why?
It's so frustrating. They don't make them hard to find.
No.
Yeah. Ben says they do.
I mean, if you're trying, I mean, I can't believe that he didn't, like, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy you all went out. If he doesn't get an idol, you are safe 100% because everybody, no matter what else they're saying, is going to vote Ben out.
True.
And so to let him have the chance, that puts you at risk.
Agreed. You should have followed him.
Yeah.
I have no idea why this is the only season where that hasn't happened, because it clearly backfired on pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
But I like Ben, so I'm glad he got to do that. And Chrissy was getting mad when he played it. He's like, I'm dropping this bomb. Boom. And Chrissy's like, oh, doing bomb sounds. Oh, she's so annoying doing bomb sounds.
It irks me how upset she is with everybody when they do anything against her. She is not a good sport.
And she's doing the same things to all of them. She's like, how dare he vote for me? I can't believe it. Like, you just You were talking, like, the reason he was after you is because he heard you were after him.
But yeah, I wanna talk about this Ben idol at Tribal Council because it was pretty explosive.
I thought do you remember a couple episodes ago he was making a fake idol to try to plant for somebody else to find? I think they got one. I thought it was fake.
I did too. I said that out loud.
And
I was
it
like,
looked
that
like
is the
it.
fake idol. I wonder if they didn't find his fake idol and wrap it up like a real idol so people would think it was fake.
When he handed it to Jeff, I was like, oh my God, he's going to get, like, why would he show Jeff his fake idol before they voted? Does Jeff have to say something? And then Jeff was like, it's real. And I was at the gym watching this, and this is the first time I've, like, watched this while at this gym. So I had to think about 7 people within, like, my near vicinity. And, like, as that happened, I, like, literally, like, looked up and looked around at people, like, you guys see this shit? Like, I wanted somebody to, like, react with me and then remember that, like, they were listening to crappy music and were missing out on this, like, great moment.
That's funny. No, I'm pretty sure that Ben said that he hid that one that he was hoping that Chrissy would find thing. But I'm pretty sure he said at that tribal council that they went and they took it back because, like, that was kind of nasty and, like, didn't want that to be, like, a thing.
Yeah, Lauren didn't like the idea of having Chrissy find it just to embarrass her.
Well, she didn't like it, but I don't know that they ever, like, went anywhere on it. Like, it seemed like Ben did it. Lauren was just like, I don't think Ben should do that. But I don't know if we ever saw more than that.
Yeah, I thought they, like, went back and, like, took it back. But yeah, no, that did look like a fake idol. But then again, so did the half idol that Lauren found. I mean, I saw the shell and I'm like, is that a fake idol or is that, like, what, like the remaining pieces of the half idol?
I don't want to linger on the half idol too much again, but, like, what if they had put, like, a more elegant actual idol under the thing and Lauren didn't find it, but they're like, let's see where this goes and just let her use the shell.
I hope that they make, like, the fakest looking idols ever, where they're just like, it's a stick.
I like thinking about Jeff and the crew, like, walking the beach trying to find the perfect seashell. You know, there's seashell.
No,
like,
it's not Jeff and the crew. It's Jeff is like, so I was out on my midnight stroll. They're like, yes, Jeff, every night your midnight stroll. What happened? And he's like, I found this shell. It spoke to me. We should use it. And they're like, Jeff, we can't put that's just, it's a shell. And he's like, put it in or I quit. And they're like, God, every week, Jeff, fine, put it in.
Put the shell in.
That's funny.
So Ben plays his idol before they go to vote. He walks up and he hands it to Jeff, and Jeff confirms that it's actually a real idol. How do you feel about this?
I don't know that we've seen this before.
This is totally new. It's a breakaway from tradition.
I don't, there's no way Ben could have known that we'd all think it was fake, but, like, that was really good TV since I thought it was fake, because I was seriously, like, waiting, because, like, he just had to, if it were fake, he could have just been wearing it, and then nobody would have voted for him, because it looked like they all bought it, because, I mean, it was real, as we found out, but with thinking it was fake, having him hand it to Jeff, I was like, why would you give yourself up? And in my head, like, before Jeff said, like, this is a real idol, and they even kind of edited in, like, a little beat extra of Jeff not talking, where I was like, if it were a fake idol, and Ben said, I think, like, hey, I'm using this, but if Ben just said, like, Jeff, can you hold on to this for me, or something like that, would Jeff say this is an idol or not? If they didn't say they intended to use it. Or, like, once you give it to Jeff, are you using it?
Before he has said, I am not able to confirm nor deny whether or not this is a real immunity idol.
So it's the fact that he said, like...
cast.
So do you think it was the verbiage where Ben's like, I'm using this, Jeff, that...
Yeah, I think Ben kind of pushed Jeff into having to reply with something. Okay. I think he pushed Jeff into a situation where Jeff had to decide on the spot what the rule was going to be for this tribal. I don't think we'll ever see it again, and I hope we don't, because fake idols aside, if somebody has a hidden immunity idol and they're bluffing with it, somebody can call their bluff and say, play it right now before the vote so we know where to vote. Well, it's a big problem for me.
In the past, when Jeff says we can neither confirm nor deny, has the person actually handed it to him? Or have they just, like, had it out and said, like, I'm going to wear this for this tribal and see how it goes?
Yeah, nobody's ever actually, like, played it.
Yeah, it was on season 30. Mike got the idol from... Oh, I can't remember who he got the idol from. Somebody they were voting out. They gave him a fake idol. And he was like, Jeff, I need to know if this is real or not. And Jeff was like, I can't tell you.
So, but like saying I need to know if it's real or not is a lot different than like physically handing it to Jeff and saying like I'm committing this. I think that's where the difference is.
So here's the thing. Like, I do think that Brandon's right that it is risky to set this precedent because now people can say like play it like early, like so we can see if it's legit and if you're actually going to play it. And I think that is a bad precedent, and that might end up ruining idols if they run with it. But I think the general rule for dealing with idols is, as Jeff is a producer and he's a staff member of the show, it's important for him to not mess up other people's games. So if there's a secret out there, Jeff really needs to keep that secret. So does anybody else, the cameraman, the other producers. Like, it's on the staff to like not let player secrets out. And that's how it's always gone in the past, where somebody's like had a secret, like a fake idol or whatever. They're like, yeah, we're not saying anything, until they have to. And in this case, he was kind of like, yeah, I'll play it now. And they're like, well, okay, I guess that makes it official so we can confirm.
I disagree with you both that it sets a bad precedent, because in the future, if somebody wants to bluff with it, they can say, hey, I'm going to see how things are going to shake out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that
true.
kind of, like, if you're saying, like, oh, why don't you just play it now? They'd be like, no, maybe I won't have to use it. It still gives the, like, will they or won't they? I don't think it really ruins things too much.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that. I'm feeling better about it. It really bothered me for some reason. I was like, this is not how it works. These aren't the rules. But, I mean, what do I care?
I love it because it does, like, by committing it and saying, like, I mean, especially in Ben's stance, like, there's no way he can make it to the end without winning out sort of deal. Like, he has to use it. There's no way he's not using it this time. So getting it out of the way first and committing to everybody else, like, hey, you can't get me out, gives him, like, that brief, however many minutes they have at Tribal to try to reel people in and get out the person he wants out.
So I have another question about him playing this before the vote and even revealing it before the vote. Last vote, we got Ben using an idol, and his vote was the only vote cast. If he had done that again, 2 tribals in a row, he was the one that decided who went, and nobody else had a vote at all for 2 tribals in a row. Don't you think that would have been way more impressive than what he did tonight?
I think it's impressive, but not usable or helpful to him, like, because they were going to probably split the votes, right? So that would have forced a tie.
Oh yeah, that was their plan,
potentially.
Go ahead.
So like, if that happens, then Ben doesn't really get to choose who he's going forward with. In this case, he has a chance where he can be safe and kind of guide stuff, where like in this one, I mean, like, he was going for Mike, so nobody listened to him anyway, so it didn't work, but he had the potential to wiggle in to try to say, like, okay, I want Mike out, let's do this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the big thing for Mike was, I think the big thing for Ben is that there's not really going to be any more immunity idols, so he has to earn some friendship points. So he has to take this opportunity to say, like, yo, let's work together. Like, like the first time he played the idol, it's essentially burning all the bridges, and then this episode he's like trying to reel some people in that he can work with, because idols can only get you so far.
My issue with this right now is, as I've said many, many times in this episode, like, Ben's only hope to win or get to the finals is to win out. Devin is a far bigger threat at this point. Like, where I'm saying that, like, Chrissy shouldn't be trying to get Ashley out because, like, Ashley she could beat at the end. Ben needs to actually be worrying about getting to the end, very actively worrying about it. And so to take out Mike over Devin just seems like a misstep, because, like, Devin's the physical threat here. Devin's the one who can beat you at that immunity challenge, and that's what you need to get to the end.
Sure. Well, they took out Ashley. She was good at immunity challenges.
Well, not as good as Devin, though. And, like, but Ben wasn't trying to get out Ashley. He was trying to get out Mike.
Oh, yeah. Did he? Well, no, didn't he vote for Ashley?
Yeah,
no, he voted for Mike.
No, he voted for
he?
Ashley. No.
Oh, I saw that
yeah,
wrong.
because Ashley
do you remember he looked over... Oh, okay. I just remembered that Mike was... Or at one point, Ben, like, what's it, like, Ashley, you want to stay in this? Pointed into Mike, and then, like, Devin, do you want to stay in this? And, like, pointed at Mike. And the reaction to that, by the way, when Ben was like, hey, Devin, do you want to go to the final 5 with me? And Devin, instead of being like, what's your plan? He's like, what? And he said it like super aggressively. What?
Yeah, no, I think that we got a kind of a funky edit, and we've gotten that a few times this season. This has not been one of the more understandable edits. I think they were trying to keep who got voted out a surprise to the point where they just were throwing around a bunch of crazy stuff that, like, the whole like Mike thing clearly didn't pan out at all. So I don't know why it's even in the episode.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's leading up for his vote out next episode, to be honest.
Yeah, so one big question I had about this vote, Devin was really happy when Ashley was voted out. He was really smiley. And I kind of wondered if he wasn't happy because they were planning on actually voting Ashley out, and this was just a good cover-up for his actual intentions to say, well, I had to vote for you because Ben played his idol. So he kind of got away with it. Do you think there's a chance of that having happened?
My thought on that was that he has his new, like, 3 group with Ryan and Chrissy. And Ashley was the one everybody's like, we need to break up Ashley and Devin. So this broke up the Ashley-Devin thing without it being Devin the one going home.
Yeah.
Because everybody saw those two as, like, a very strong pair.
It is telling that it's the same episode where he chooses not to bring her on the reward that he also votes her out. Did Devin vote for her? I think there were 2 votes.
Yeah.
I think Ben playing an idol worked best for Devin. I think it worked even better for Devin than it did for Ben himself. Because now Ben is able to get rid of Ashley and say, hey, I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
And Ben's still a target.
Like, at this point, like, I think Chrissy and Ryan working together is because they kind of have to. Mike's working with whoever he can because he has to. Ben's like, if that turtle gets a vote, I'll hang out with him. I don't care. Devin and Ashley were the 2 who were like, we get along, we work well together, ride or die. Like, they were together by choice. Yeah.
Okay. Survivor, turtles versus turtlenecks.
I watch it.
We are watching it.
Brandon? Do you have a Facebook corner?
Yeah, I do. A lot of them we actually have already talked about. So nobody talked about Ashley at all on Facebook. Like, her name was not in any single comment. I scrolled through every single one. Nobody knew she was on the season, it looked like. Basically, they either hate Ben or love Ben. And everybody hates Chrissy.
Everybody or not everybody?
Huh.
Everybody. Like, everybody hates him. Her, sorry.
Huh. Interesting. I thought she was fairly popular.
So this person says, it's about Ben. Basically, all of them are. They say, whoever likes Ben is nuts. Survivor shouldn't be whoever finds idols wins. I agree, but I disagree. I would say it's whoever finds idols and can play them well.
I think
deserves a credit point.
We've all established our stances on idols. I think this one made me less mad because they let him find it. They had Chrissy won immunity. He was on the chopping block. They all could have been safe, and they're like, let's just hang out at camp. Let Ben go wander off. And like when the episode started basically with him being gone for like 45 minutes, and instead of like trying to find where he is, Chrissy's just like, yeah, he's gone. He's been looking for a while. I don't know, like 45 minutes or something. And then she just keeps standing there, and Mike's like, oh, okay. And he keeps standing there. And like, guys, you just have to stop him, or at least like,
for real,
just something.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Literally, the rest of Facebook is either Ben should win, or they need to get Ben out. That's all they say. And then like there are a few comments sprinkled in about how pissy Chrissy is. But that's literally it. There's nothing else in there. There's nothing funny.
I'm not rooting for Ben, but I think he deserves to win. I'm 1,000,000% willing to admit that I've had an unobjective love for Dr. Mike this whole season, and it's blinding me. I think Ben would be a great winner.
Yeah, I think Ben is the winner. Yeah, no, I think Ben's a good pick to be a winner. And it feels like he could win. Like, after Ben, it's hard to imagine anybody else winning. Like, I don't really see Chrissy winning. I don't really see Ryan winning, even though I'm a big Ryan fan. I don't really see Devin winning, even though I really like Devin. I don't know.
I'm calling it. Devin wins this season.
Well, I think the advantage that Devin has, obviously, is that like, his confessionals are so smart. Like, he's a really smart guy who's very actively been playing this whole game, but people have counted him out because he's a smiley, nice, good dude. And he's played it in a way, I feel like a lot of times backstabbing, but the fact of the matter is, like, Ben is where he is right now because he's misstepped. Just like Devin is where he is right now with all of his buddies and stuff because he's played a really good social game. And I don't think, I don't like how sometimes if you're not backstabbing, like, I think Devin's the thing where, like, if you're having to make moves to survive, in a sense, you've, like, kind of messed up somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think this season has been happening so fast that it's hard to keep your footing.
Yeah. And Devin's, like, kept his perfectly.
Yep.
Like, he's never really been the threat, which is nuts because I've mentioned before, we got, like, Malcolms and all of those who everybody's like, get that handsome man out of here.
And Devin's name has never been on the block. I don't even think he's been voted for.
Yeah, I think he's played a almost perfect game. But it's less exciting, you know? So he's kind of like the Kim Spradlin almost, where it's like, he's kind of the boring winner, but he played really well.
That means he's feeling safe on this next episode, which means he's probably going out on this next episode.
No way. How can he go out when he's my winner pick? He's supposed to win.
Safe. He's feeling safe, and that's never good.
Well, the thing is, like, it's just nuts to me because as it's coming together, like, Ashley's name was up there. Chrissy won immunity, but if she hadn't, her name would be up there. I think people have kind of forgotten Ryan's there a little bit. And then, like, Mike's name was up there. Nobody was like, I always want to say Fabio out because, you know, the dreamy boat guy, but, like, that's an actual Survivor player, so that terminology doesn't necessarily work here as well. But he's like Fabio in the romance novel sense, not Fabio in the... But yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think it's lucky that Devin is so well-spoken because I think he could easily be passed on because he's played such a good game that he hasn't had to struggle to stay alive like Ben has.
It's almost like Ben pointed at Mike and said, let's vote Mike out. And everybody said, why the hell would we do that? You know?
Yeah.
I think Mike's pretty safe.
And at this point, like, I think he's on, like I said, like, I think he's in it for the ride, where he's just like, I've gotten to play Survivor. I've gotten to do Survivor things. Guys, I'm probably going to be in the final 3 of Survivor. Like, he's cool with it.
I don't have any more Facebook corners, but I think I have one to take us out. Patricia says, 5 idiots left.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh.
Thanks everyone for listening to this episode of We're Surviving This Together. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at survivingthistogether@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at survivingtogether and on Facebook. If you liked what you heard here, please leave a review. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.